were parts of this book that as I was reading it, I was like, is this real? Did this happen? Am I reading true crime right now? Yeah, here is my review of Invisible Girl by Lisa Jewell. Welcome back, or if you are new here, welcome. My name is Katrina and I make bookish content here on this channel at least twice a week, and then movie reviews or book to movie content here at the weekend. All of my social links are in the description box below, including my blog and my Goodreads, so you can keep up with my reading in between times. I do have a full written review of this book on my blog and my Goodreads that I've shared on my Facebook and have shared on my Instagram. So if a written review is more your thing, feel free to go and look there instead. I will, of course, leave my Lisa Jewell playlist linked up above because I love talking about her books here on this channel, and I also have some event footage in there from a couple of events I've been to with her in the UK and in the US, so you can check out my thoughts on her other books in that playlist. This is the latest book from Lisa Jewell. I'm going to tell you what it's all about. It came out August 6th in the UK and it's coming out October, I believe, 15th in the US and Canada. So if you're watching from one of those countries, there's your release dates. I'm going to read the blurb out for you so that you know I'm not giving you any spoilers. All my reviews here are always spoiler free. And I do have, it's very early today, so I do have my cup of coffee in an appropriately black mug. This book is super dark, and so I match the mood of the book with my mug. I do have my Enchanted Fandom discount code in the description box below, because this is my latest Enchanted Fandom unboxing. I just love how big it is. It holds so much coffee. So you don't see her, but she sees you. Midnight in an area of urban wasteland where cats hunt and foxes shriek. A girl is watching. Even just that line I love. When Sapphire Maddox was 10, something terrible happened and she's carried the pain of it ever since. The man she thought was going to heal her didn't, and now she hides, learning his secrets, invisible in the shadows. Owen Pick is invisible too. He's never had a girlfriend. He's never even had a friend. Nobody sees him. Nobody cares. But when Sapphire goes missing opposite his house on Valentine's night, suddenly the whole world is looking at Owen, accusing him, holding him responsible for Sapphire's disappearance. So yes. So I have the UK cover for you, which it's interesting because Lisa Jewell's UK covers always have this kind of like neon-y, bright, like bit of writing with a sort of very dark background, whereas her US covers tend to be more like muted and grey. US and Canadian, they tend to be the same. But yeah, we have these, we have Sapphire and we have Owen, and then we also have chapters told from a third point of view. We have Kate. And this book does, before I go into everything, it does come with care warnings for rape and sexual assault, but then you kind of gather that from the synopsis. I think the synopsis does a pretty good job of laying out what this book's going to be without giving you any spoilers. So the fact that we have these three characters and it's told from their alternating perspectives, their chapters are all very different. We even use different tenses for a couple of the different characters, which I think is very, very cool. But we have the three characters, and then we have the book broken down into three settings, the kind of before, now, and after. The then, now, and after. And so, yeah, we've got these three, and just the way it's written, you're reading a chapter involving Sapphire and something happens, and then we switch over to a chapter involving Owen and we're like, no, I have to find out what happens in Sapphire's world. Or we're reading a chapter involving Kate and it leads into something to do with a chapter involving Owen, and you have to keep turning the pages to find how that leads into his story. I will say, as I often find with sort of psychological thrillers like this, these darker, twistier books, that I didn't particularly like any of those main characters. I think from the description you kind of know you're not going to really like Owen, but boy is he intriguing, and that's what matters to me with a novel like this. When I've talked about other thriller books here on this channel, like Louise Candlish's books or Kelly Taylor's books, again, it matters to me if a character is intriguing, because I need to want to know what makes them tick, what's going to happen with them, how are they going to handle this situation. So I think Sapphire I definitely could sympathize with, and I had a lot of sympathy for her. We know that something awful has happened to her, and she's had a pretty shit life, to be honest, but she's still a very determined young woman. And so again, you know, I love a strong female character, but she makes some very, very poor choices, I would have to say. I definitely don't like Kate. She's a kind of classic meddling sort of middle-class housewife that we see in like your Desperate Housewives type of programs, and then yeah, Owen does a lot of things to make us dislike him, but a lot of things that we are very intrigued by, and we need to know how it impacts on the story. I would say this is definitely Lisa Jewell's darkest novel yet. I think her last book I made a video review of, saying that it was her sort of scariest novel. This one is definitely the darkest. It deals with a lot of dark issues, and being a teacher, there's sort of really bad examples of teachers in here as well, which seems to be like a thing that's happening this year with book releases. There are some nasty teachers in there, and I'm like, we're not all like that, I promise. Some of us are all right, it's fine, but I'm like, oh my goodness, if I was like their line manager, oh, that would be a tough job. But yeah, very, very dark and twisty. You think you know things, and then by the time you got to the end of the chapter, you have way more questions than you do answers. So this is one of those books, I know it sounds like a cliche, but once you pick it up, you won't be able to put it down. The only reason I did put it down a couple of times was because it gets very dark, so I needed to just, you know, put it in the freezer for a minute, come back to it after I had a cup of coffee. But yeah, I absolutely loved it. I am just always so in awe with the way Lisa Jewell constructs her plot, because you just got to keep turning the pages. And if, like me, you are a fan of a short chapter, Lisa Jewell is the one for you, because the chapters are short, but they pack a punch, and it means that you just keep having to turn those pages because you have to find out what happens next. And I think even as I'm finished the book, I still have more questions. I really, really like the setting of this one as well. It's set in a very specific part of London, and I could feel that part of London as I was reading it. So if you are familiar with London, you will definitely be able to feel the city in this novel, 100%. So yes, highly, highly recommend. I will leave the links in the description box. Like I say, the UK version is out already now, which will mean that the audiobook is already out now as well. And then if you are waiting for the paperback in the US or Canada, it's going out in October, and that might be where I get my physical copy from, because I do not have a physical copy. I did the ebook, so there we go. Yes, another Lisa Jewell. Let me know in the comments what your most recent dark and twisty read was. I like to pepper a couple into my reading each month, so if you have recommendations for me, let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you are subscribed so that my next video lands in your subscription feed, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss it. I will be back with more bookish content for you very soon, so I will see you then. Thanks for watching.